my name is Jamie Rue. I'm a book editor, and today I'm going to be reacting to an episode of New Girl. Okay, so it has been quite a while since I made a video on this channel. For anyone who found my video because they were subscribed and they kind of stumbled upon this, hi, welcome back. Thank you for sticking around. For those who are new, and as an update for returning viewers, my name is Jamie Rue. I was an amateur booktuber back in the day, and then I became a publishing professional. I am currently a book editor. I have worked previously at Macmillan, at HarperCollins, at some top literary agencies in New York, and right now I primarily freelance. So with all of that experience, I've kind of amassed a wealth of knowledge that is not widely accessible to everybody. So I figured that I would come on here and share that information with you. So I'm going to be talking about writing, about publishing, about editing. I'm also going to be making videos like this. For those of you who used to watch my old book reviews, I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be making those anymore. But the ones that are still on this channel will remain here at least for the foreseeable future. So it is no secret that Hollywood loves to incorporate authors and publishing professionals into their stories for TV shows and movies. However, most of the time, all of the details are incredibly inaccurate. It is something that publishing professionals love to gripe about. It's something that authors love to gripe about. And so I'm going to be reacting to different TV shows and movies that have books or publishing that lay out a process that is absolutely inaccurate. And I'm going to kind of go through it and see if I can clear it up. So without further ado, I am going to be reviewing episode 15 of season 6 of New Girl, where a character, Nick, is trying to get his book published.
Well, this is the last Robbie stuff.
Okay, so full disclosure, I have seen this show before.
We're related, and
however, it's been a while
hey,
since
Nick,
I've seen
are
this
you wearing
particular
your running
episode.
bottoms
Actually, since I've seen the whole
and
show,
your
it's been a bit.
Nick, are you going running?
Have fun.
Right now,
He's fine.
Nick is
I just passed
incredibly
Nick on
upset
the
and
street,
no one knows why.
right, on purpose. Oh my God!
Maybe I was wrong.
Honestly,
Yeah,
everyone asking
you
if Nick is
okay?
okay because
I
he's going
see
for a
you.
run is so relatable.
And I
to me.
love you.
In my defense, no one here emotes in a normal way.
That's fair.
Okay, skipping forward a little bit here.
I submitted the Pepperwood Chronicles to a publishing company and I got the rejection letter today. My career is over.
No, it's not, Nick.
Okay, so Nick says here that he submitted his book to a publishing company and he got the rejection today, and then he says, my career is over. Now, I guess that this is possible. He might have submitted his manuscript to a indie publishing company because indie companies are primarily the ones that will take unsolicited manuscripts. The big 5 companies and honestly even like bigger indie companies will not take unsolicited manuscripts. They only take manuscripts that have an agent attached. So as an author, your first step to getting published is not reaching out to publishing companies. It is finding an agent. There's kind of a lengthy process. I have an old video kind of detailing that process. It'll be linked up here or in the description. Essentially, you need to query an agent and then probably face a ton of rejection, like so much rejection. It is difficult to fully describe to someone who has not gone through it or someone who has not seen it just how much rejection authors face when they are trying to query their books. So Nick lamenting that his career is over after one rejection from one publisher is kind of not a great sign in terms of his mental fortitude in being able to kind of handle the publishing space. Publishing is really tough. Traditionally, publishing your book is really tough. The barrier to entry is incredibly high. If you are an author that is intending to query an agent, you need to know that you need to have incredibly thick skin. You could reach out to 100 agents and you will receive 100 rejections. Actually, you'll receive 50 rejections and then 50 no responses. It is very rare that you see any feedback. It is a brutal process. So I don't know what type of rejection Nick got here, but whatever the case may be, he needs to be prepared for this type of rejection if he wants to be a traditionally published author. Because even if your book is phenomenal and it gets published right away, readers are going to have differing opinions on it. Books are entirely subjective. They're works of art. So one book is not going to appeal to everyone, and he needs to be aware of that.
I have the scoop. Nick's book got rejected and
Okay,
he's really
so
embarrassed.
Jess has told Reagan
If it's on.
about Nick's situation. Reagan is who Nick is dating. I will say, when I first started watching the show, I was so surprised that Megan Fox was in it. I was also very excited because I love Megan Fox, but I was incredibly confused.
You own it so much. We will be there. Thanks. Nick, I know that dumb publisher rejected your book, and guess what? That publisher can go to hell after you beat them to death with this baton that I weirdly still have, because you don't need a publisher. You need a girlfriend who found a bookstore to sell Pepperwood.
Seriously?
not
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I called
No.
all over and I finally found one.
Reagan saved the
No.
day.
You're
What's
amazing.
happening?
That's right. All we need is 30 copies of the book.
Oh, well, we can make them.
No,
I mean, it'll
no,
be
you-
hard,
what?
but we can do
Hello?
it.
We could do it.
No,
We'll make them
no, you
ourselves.
can't.
Fantastic. We just need them by tonight.
What do
for this
you
big
What do
reading.
you mean? What? Okay, I was trying to get through this scene, and there's so many things right now that I need to react to that I don't even know where to start. Everything about that was so wrong. I don't know where to begin. I'm gonna try to go through these statements one by one. Reagan saying he doesn't need a publisher. I mean, in some ways, technically that is true. He could self-publish the book, but self-publishing is an entirely different beast. You will hear a lot of authors say that if traditional publishing doesn't work out, they want to try self-publishing. Very, very, very different thing. Publishers hire a very large team of people to do all of the work on a book. If you're self-publishing, you need to be all of the people on that team, or you need to be able to hire all of the people on that team. It is incredibly costly or incredibly time consuming, and you may just not have the skill for it. It really depends. There are so many different jobs that you would need to account for if you are self-publishing, and self-publishing, perfectly valid option that many authors go for. I'm not knocking self-publishing whatsoever. I recently opened an assisted self-publishing company, and a lot of my clients are self-publishing authors, but telling someone who is trying to be traditionally published that they should then go self-publish their book is absolutely not the conclusion to draw here. There are so many things that you need to account for. You need to get an editor. You need to get a book formatter. You need to get a cover designer. You need to figure out how to market your book. You need to figure out publicity. You need to figure out distribution, which is honestly the biggest thing here that Reagan is not thinking about. You can't just not have a publisher. You need to publish through something, whether that be setting up your own company and setting up your own distribution, or going through a print-on-demand service like Amazon or Ingram. Okay, so the next thing that Reagan is saying is that she has contacted a bookstore and he's gonna sell Pepperwood directly through this bookstore. Now, it is unlikely that is going to happen for a multitude of reasons. One being, you book events like that in advance. You don't just kind of like call up a bookstore and say, hello, can I do an event today? Bookstores need to have staff on hand in order to kind of help work this event. They ideally would be able to advertise it themselves and say that this event is upcoming. Please RSVP so you know roughly how many books you actually need. 30 is a very arbitrary number here. 30 actually would be an incredible turnout for this type of event, and also for any debut author, honestly. To get 30 unknown guests would be quite a feat, in fact. There are a lot of bookstore events, book launch events, book tours that get 1 to 2 attendees, that get 0 attendees. It is unfortunate, but it's not uncommon. And that is actually why, if you are a self-publishing author, the way that Reagan is kind of presenting to Nick right now, you probably don't actually want to spend the time and capital on a physical event like that inside a bookstore. The other thing to keep in mind is that bookstores purchase their books in a very specific way. Bookstores need to purchase the book in order to have it in stock to sell, right? So they keep 40% of the profit. Typically, that's the standard with traditional publishing, and the author makes 15% royalty on the net, and then the publisher gets the rest. And the rest that the publisher takes, some of it is profit, some of it is paying back the printing cost of the book, some of it is paying, for the employees, many different things. I haven't actually worked at a bookstore, so I don't know how the payment scale works exactly, but I do know that most bookstores typically buy their books off of Ingram Spark. if they're going to stock the book in their store. They also don't stock the book if you do not allow returns on Ingram's as a self-publishing author. It happens with traditional publishing too. Bookstores and retailers need to be able to return the books. It is unlikely that they will carry it otherwise. The other option that bookstores have is that they can sell on consignment, where you give the copies of the books to the bookstore essentially for free, and then if the bookstore happens to sell a copy, you will get some profit and then they will keep some profit. It is, however, still really difficult to convince a brick and mortar store to carry your self-published book, because every inch of space inside a brick and mortar store counts. If you go to an online retailer, there's infinite space. Yes, there is also limited space in terms of what's on the front page, what is, readily accessible and viewable immediately, but they'll carry it. Physical bookstores are different. There is a limited amount of space. So it's going to be, in general, it's kind of difficult to convince bookstores to carry copies of your book if it is not traditionally published. Now, I would say typically if you're a local author, it is easier to kind of talk to bookstore owners and create relationships with those people, kind of indie to indie, and kind of uplift one another. It is a little bit easier to do that, but Nick lives in LA. And Los Angeles has many a person and many a bookstore and many a person publishing a book. So it's still a pretty decent shot that this is not gonna happen here. Next, just saying that they can make the books is just wholly not correct whatsoever, especially after Reagan drops the bombshell that this event is so soon. There's no possible way to make probably even one book in that time. I am an incredibly crafty person. I think the best I could get is 2 in that span of time. Not only do you need to figure out how to make a book, you need to glue things. Things need to dry, and also nothing is ever going to look good enough to look like a professionally printed book. What they would probably, I don't even know if this is possible, what they would want to look into is doing like an incredibly ultra short run printing to see if anyone can do like a rush shipping or like a rush print in Los Angeles and see if they could pick them up. But honestly, that's either going to cost an exorbitant amount of money and absolutely not be worth it, or it's just not possible. Book binding is its whole own thing. It is absolutely not part of what a publisher does. Book printing, book binding, that is a completely separate field. So in general, this is an incredibly unrealistic, lofty task here.
Excuse me, did you say a big reading tonight?
Yeah, well,
Oh, okay. And most author events are not going to be just readings. Unless you are like a Stephen King or a V.E. Schwab or someone else that's quite notable, most likely the book reading alone is not going to be enough of a draw to get people out to your event. That is the reason why a lot of beginning authors will do joint events with other authors. That is the reason why typically there is a more well-known moderator. But just Nick kind of doing a reading is most likely not going to be a great draw for this bookstore event, if they even have time to advertise it.
Sounds public.
well, I mean, he's got to do a reading to sell the book. Is that bad?
Is that bad? No, it's good. I get to do a reading tonight in front of people.
Yeah.
I get to read in front of a bunch of people who are going to judge me. This is not bad. This is good.
And this is what I was saying earlier about Nick needing a thick skin.
This is not running.
So you want me to read in front of people? You want me to read in front of living people?
Yeah, so this is what I was saying earlier about Nick needing to have a thick skin when getting into publishing. I don't know that he's fully thought through what he's doing here. People are going to have thoughts on your book. They are going to have thoughts on the way you look, on the way you speak, in any setting where you are made incredibly public. So Nick needs to kind of work through this in order to achieve his goal of being an author here. He could also be an author who just publishes their book and really doesn't do much to promote it. That doesn't really guarantee sales or anything like that. So it really kind of depends on what you're wanting out of your publishing experience. If you are self-publishing your book and you just kind of want it out there because you have a story that you want to share for anyone who happens to stumble upon it, great, go for it. And then you don't need to do any promo and you can kind of go along your merry way. For those who are wanting to make money in any fashion off of their books, you're going to need to do some promo, most likely author forward promo. Especially nowadays, author forward promo is more and more popular and effective.
Right, here it is. The Pepperwood Chronicles. I made a prototype.
No,
Just
no,
don't
you didn't.
spend-
I'm so sorry. No, you didn't. That book, first of all, that book is a chonker. That is a thick book. So this book is it was either printed on a paper that is a really high weight, meaning that it's a thicker paper, or it is just a really, really, really long book. The Pepperwood Chronicles, if I remember correctly, is like part mystery and like part some kind of, maybe there's zombies involved or something. Actually, let me look this up. So the Pepperwood Chronicles is like a mystery fantasy book. So it is like primarily mystery, but with some fantasy elements. In the mystery genre, which is what this primarily is, you do not want your debut book to be 600 pages long. In traditional publishing, that will get you a rejection pretty much automatically, because that is much too long. That is going to be more than 150,000 words, and that is just too long.
That looks really good.
How did you do that?
Oh, that's between me and my craft wagon.
There is also no way that with this craft wagon, she did
Not
this.
very good. And if I'm being honest with you, I'm starting to freak out now.
Reagan, you should be freaking out.
Do I sometimes wonder if you're a robot?
Reagan should be
Thank
freaking
you.
out. This is not a good situation
You're of
here.
me.
When Nick gets like this, he needs to be occupied. Luckily, we have tons of books to make.
Got my name in it.
Book time! Gather around, my little Gutenbergs. Here we go.
Where did Jess get these things?
Blue. We ran out.
How many did you get done?
One. I think we did it wrong. It doesn't look right to me.
Your reading's in 3 hours. Let's make some books. I think I have some really good glue in my non-mobile craft card.
You're gonna help me?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, so they are lathering glue all
Ah,
over
this glue
these
works
books.
great.
Oh,
These books,
smells great.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
These books, they look fantastic. These look fantastic. There is no way that these books would look like this. There's also most likely not a world where they are dry in time for this event. But there's no way they're making them as fast. The binding is an incredibly lengthy process. You might have seen people rebinding their books and things like that. That's something that you can absolutely pick up. But this is like a kind of a different thing here. Because Jess also took the time to format all of these pages first. This book was not formatted previously. Okay, so now they're getting high
Oh,
off
I love the
blue
smell of
fumes.
new-
If you are ever trying to make 30 copies of your own book and you are using a very, very strong adhesive,
Yes, we love this book, and they're
please
gonna just buy
air
every
out the
copy, and
room.
then you're gonna have to like print more. Does your hair always look like that? Do you have brown hair?
You guys, this says to use this in an open field. It specifically says that the backyard is too small.
Your backyard.
Very good.
I think I should cancel this reading.
No way. I am in. I feel great for the reading.
Listen, if Reagan worked this hard to get a reading for this day, she could probably push it to a different day, get better turnout, get better preparation from the bookstore staff. Overall, pushing it, if possible, would be the way to go. Pushing it would be ideal.
Oh my god, the secret world.
Hey, hi. Thank you for supporting your local bookstore.
Okay.
Quick reminder, we're dying. Please buy things.
Okay, the bookstore employee or owner here has said, thank you for supporting your local bookstore. Please buy things. We're dying. So this is absolutely true. Please support your local indie bookstores. You know, buy the books from the bookstore when you can. Those of you who cannot afford to buy books, do not pirate books. Please do not pirate books. It is really, really, really bad for everybody involved to pirate books. Highly recommend getting a library card.
And now, please welcome Nick Miller, author of the Pepperwood
Yeah,
Chronicles.
these books would not be dry.
Go ahead. They called.
All right, this is an incredible turnout
What a
that Nick
wonderful
has
day.
here for this
Quick
event.
reminder,
There
we
is
are dying.
no possible world in which this event would have
How about
many
this?
people, unless Nick was already a celebrity. And I say that with all the love in my heart for Nick as a character and for the concept of the Pepperwood Chronicles, but an event with less than 24 hours notice for a no-name author who didn't even have a publisher attached, did not have any marketing attached. It is a mystery book, so it is not particularly anything that is timely or specifically grabby to people for some newsworthy reason. There would not be this many people here. Oh,
What's
and he
up?
just walked
Yeah,
away.
coming.
He just walked away. Oh, he's crawling. He's crawling.
Don't worry about me. I live here now.
That's some stage fright.
I
All
believe
right,
in you.
pep talk here. Let's get this man back out there. There are some people that have dissipated,
Sorry about
which
that.
feels a little bit
That's
more
weird
accurate.
The sun baked down on Pepperwood's back as he moved over to the St. Charles streetcar. Just one. I wish we sold just one.
Hey,
All right, so
you did great.
So Nick has just said, just one. I wish we sold just one. That kind of demoralizing feeling after having done all this work and you're not really going to sell any copies, that is something that I think most authors will relate to intensely. That feeling of rejection is very commonplace in publishing and for authors. It happens quite often. Like I was saying, honestly, knowing the landscape of how these events work, I think just the fact that he managed to get any amount of turnout at this event was impressive in and of itself, even without, selling the book. But obviously, from an author's perspective, you've put your heart and soul on the line, you've published this book, you've put all this work into it, and it's gotta suck if no one buys it.
Nick, I'd like to introduce you
Nick
to
is
your
Norman's
number one
first
fan.
fan here.
Hey,
and
I really
she's
enjoyed what you read and
mostly
hearing
just
it and
attracted
how
to him.
the
but
characters were good
She
and
is
how your
buying a
face
copy of the
looks.
book here. She is paying a single
The
dollar.
purchase price is $12.95.
Oh, okay. Reagan's saying that the purchase price of this book is $12.95. In today's economy, that is absolutely not going to be the case. And I think even in when did this come out? Hang on. In 2017, you know what? I remember 2017 very, very clearly. In 2017, a book this thick would likely not have been $12.95. It would have been closer, most likely, to the $15 mark. This is a big, big, big book. This is a 600-page tome. It is big. $12.95 would probably barely turn a profit, especially given that they have printed all of these materials themselves. They have made all of the materials themselves. But then we also have to think about the labor that is being put into it, and Jess's labor in formatting the interior and also coming up with a cover. There's a lot that needs to be factored in here. I understand also that Nick symbolically taking $1 is probably more meaningful to him.
Just concerned about
The shed
the
scene.
shed scene.
But I don't remember the shed scene.
You don't remember the shed scene?
I don't
It's an
remember it.
incredibly graphic sexual scene.
That's not good.
disgustingly sexual.
This child
Who
has bought an
cares?
adult
My first
book.
sale.
Truly, I am of the opinion that it is not up to an author to control what people read. It is not up to anyone but that person and perhaps their legal guardian. So I say that Nick is pretty much clear from blame, morally speaking there. You can see here, obviously, that New Girl got a lot of things wrong. I think the thing that they got the most correct was Nick's fear of rejection. I think that is a very powerful and relatable thing for Nick to have displayed as an author, but all of the technical stuff here is just incredibly wrong. But yeah, that was my reaction to episode 15, season 6 of New Girl. I know that there are several more episodes where Nick is going on his publishing journey, and I will most likely review those at some point as well. If you have any TV shows or movies that you would like to see me touch on in this series, please leave that in the comments below. Happy writing!